Hey, RetconRaider here, and welcome back to Battle Brothers Season 3. As today, we go hunting for the Ejirok, which, honestly, might take a while. It's not really something that's a straight line. Rather, now that we've completed the Icy Cave, the beast is on the prowl. Somewhere along the dividing line between the frozen north and the northern tundras. The problem being, of course, that it could be east, in territory we've already been through, or it could be west, all the way out to the map's edge. But that's fine, since obviously our current ambition is conducive to just wandering a bit. We still need to track down 5 more outposts. Not to mention, of course, we could stand to rebuild our rep with the northern settlements a bit. They're not our biggest fans after how things went down during the Noble War. Plus, we also had a rumor about... unhold. 6 unhold. I mean, I don't really want to fight them, but we do need unhold hides. At least if we do decide we want to unlock the Kraken fight. Yeah, alright, we'll do it. Might take a few bumps and bruises, but I'm pretty sure we can handle it. We just need to make sure we pull all our squishy backliners. Go heavy on cleavers and blades. As the raiders left the peculiar icy cave behind, a sudden ululating howl rose up amidst the snowstorm surrounding them, echoed soon after by others, each slightly off-center from the first. The raiders froze, their captain squinting into the icy distance. Was the Ejirok not only real, but now somehow hunting the company? Then the looming, lumbering frames loped into view. And he was torn between breathing a sigh of relief or now panicking over something much more mundane, but no less monstrous. The raiders hastily rallying, a bristling wall of blades, lying in wait for the unstoppable force that was now bearing down. Alright, so no real fancy pants tactics this time out. We pulled most of our fragile characters. The only one we really have to worry about is Arrow, who will always hang at least a couple of spaces back. And we'll try to focus these things down as fast as possible. Bleeding damage should help with that. That'll help offset the constant healing. As the Unhold stormed in, the raiders rushed to meet them, a bulwark against their approach to break their momentum, to stifle their charge. Drak ducked in first, scimitar slashing across a snowy beast's matted hide. Oof. And enraged, the beasts swiftly pushed back, Mal hurled overhead, tossed about like a toy amidst the brutish beasts. Giannis catching an errant fist to the face, blood streaming from his flattened nose. Seymore was sent staggering back, rattled but otherwise unharmed. Despite his pummeled proboscis, Giannis hacked back, no stranger to exsanguination in the sands of the southern arenas, flensing at fur, hacking at hide, mauling the muscle and bone beneath. Seymore came in from the side, massive mace, mashing into the beast's mandible. Spittle and shards of teeth sent spattering into the snow. The fierce fighting continued, the raiders getting in strikes wherever they could, but doing their best to focus down just 1 or 2 targets at a time. Though obviously in the chaos of this conflict, that was easier said than done. But then, finally, the first furriest fiend fell, banner bursting from its bloodied back as it was impaled entirely through. And the raiders let out a ragged, breathless cheer. One beast given pause, but the rest raging even harder. Seymore smashed his mace into another monster's mouth, ducking its wild, almost frantic swings in return. The poor Mal was once again sent stumbling, as was Drak in the back. And the second beast fell, milling about uncertainly as it was after the fall of the first. That was all the opening that Rax needed. His mighty axe biting deep, neck parting ways before the blade. Heavy head hurtling off to one side even as the mighty knight pushed past. And thusly emboldened, the raiders set about ravaging the rest. The hapless, hairy hooligans, no match for their mastery of melee. A few glancing blows still landed here and there, but the raiders weathered them well. Whether through sturdy plate or sheer force of will. Until finally, tired of being battered about, Mal clove the head from a third. And, not to be outdone, Rax tapped Verlin's back, ready to sally forth. Let's get you in there, bud. Really got to do that more often. We have rotate on tap. No reason not to. I suppose it just comes down to positioning for it in advance, you know? Combat can get a mite chaotic, especially against foes like this. I will also say, well, it's not super reliable. I can definitely see how a two-handed mace and Katal could make a pretty good pairing, since that does seem to be a pretty decent way to potentially daze someone. I don't know, though. The 6 AP cost per swing still makes for some pretty expensive setup. I mean, I guess maybe if you had multiple Katals, you know. At a certain point, though, it does feel like it just becomes sunk cost. There are plenty of other viable strategies that aren't reliant on that sort of tenuous tag team tactics. Rax hacked down the fourth, uttering a steaming sigh of satisfaction as his gaze wandered north. 2 more beasts yet still stood. Though bloodied and festooned as arrows as they were, they would not for too much longer. Giannis took a moment to catch his breath, blood still streaming down his badly bruised face. Seymore driven back once more, but Plate holding strong. Diego ducked out, ushering Rax in. And Shoulder Shorn, the second to last Sasquatch, let out a bellowing cry of sheer fear. Its bloody body contorted, matted back, turned, as it sought to leave this battle behind. Verlin veered off to one side. 2 swift strikes, extinguishing any hope of escape. The last beasts breathing ragged. Ooh. Oh, goodness. But certainly not ready to go down without a fight. Its brutal fists rose once more, clasped together as it brutally bashed Drakiith into the dirt. The unfortunate flagellant, broken and twisted beneath, but still alive, if just barely. Thankfully, the rest of the raiders had his back. And with one more flurry of frenzied strikes, the beast was finally undone. Whew, boy, yeah, just goes to show. You can never quite let your guard down, especially around those things. We were doing pretty good for a while there, though, shrugging off hits left and right. Oh, come on, really? All that and we didn't even get a single pelt? We just got fur? You know what, I guess that is something I should probably double check. Maybe you can't actually get normal unholed hides from the snow variant. But we can certainly use the bones. And, I suppose the fur. I'm trying to remember what you even use that for. I think it's, I want to say you can either use it for armor padding or for a cloak. One reducing melee damage and the other reducing range damage. As for Rook, nothing all that notable there. He is our company sergeant, and currently our only bannerman. So we'll just play it safe. We'll grab melee defense, and resolve. Though I will say, I would love to round out that health and RDEF at some point. It's just very much a lower priority. Alright, so we are a bit beaten down after that, but I think we can afford to poke around a little bit more. Obviously, we need to get back to Damwall to turn in our current contract, but I think I was saying earlier, I do also recall there was a rumor about a barbarian camp in the forest west of Damwall. Somewhere out in this area, or possibly all the way out to the edge of the map, who knows. But I wanted to at least make a token effort to see if we could perhaps find that. Who knows, maybe we'll get lucky. Oh, well that's not what we wanted, but fine. Still a chance we might get a name drop or encounter an undead champion. We'll punch through it real quick. Still bruised and battered from their impromptu encounter with the brutish beasts of the frozen north, the raiders set their sights back south, though along the way, once again, yet another ancient graveyard was found dotting the landscape. Another memorial to some long past massacre. Chain-clad militiamen tottering in place, ghostly geists flitting amongst their ranks, and more heavily hauberked warriors gathered round the edge. No signs of any sinister sorcerers, though. Had the raiders simply come upon... Oh, nope, there he is. Yeah, I was about to say some conjurer's frozen cache, but it turns out the icy evoker is in fact present. Just tucked all the way in back. And with the source of this sorceress soiree exposed, the raiders responded appropriately. Most readying the meat grinder, a sturdy bulwarked battle line, blades at the ready, prepared to butcher the frostbitten bodies bearing down, whilst a smaller, much more spry contingent detached, separating off to the south, sights set on that nasty necromancer. They would just need some pointmen to help push them through. Not too worried about the fallen champions. Honestly, I'm kind of bummed they're not named. It's the Geists we really have to worry about. Named Necromancer would have been fun too. I know they exist, they're just very rare. I think they double cast, which can get pretty obnoxious, but they're also a guaranteed famed dagger drop. Honestly, I wish they'd just kind of expand the whole champion system in general. You know, that is one thing. I've had a number of people suggest the various overhaul mods, which I've held off on thus far, simply because, you know, I've never actually played most of the normal vanilla DLC, at least not for a series before. This is technically my first time. But when I do look at the various other things like Legends or Reforged, you know, I do see that some of them also greatly expand on things like the champion system, which does look pretty fun. You know, it helps keep things from getting too stagnant once you really find your footing. Nice. The first two ghastly Geists gasped as they were caught off guard, corporeal forms frayed. The spectral stuff split and scattered amongst the winds. Verlin deigned to dash forward on south, opening up a path. And the rest of the raiders rumbled forward, the crunch and grind of their weapons milling the bodies before them. The ghoulish grinding grotesque, but unfortunate necessity. At least when necromancy is involved. Zarl have to go wide. We want him on that caster. Though thankfully, thus far, the caster's been too busy trying to prop his guys back up to actually empower them. Like, if he supercharges that guy with a flail, then I'll be concerned. That, I think, is the main thing I'd worry about here. Zarmal held back, waiting for the right moment. Alois repositioning, helping to hold back the tide. Rasselbot the Raiders' time on North, stunning one of the more stalwart Sepulcherites. Corpses continued cropping up as the Craven Conjurer sought to stop the Raider advance, only to see them cloven in twain. Or crushed into the ground, or spitted upon spears. But distracted as he was, that demonic dastard barely noticed as the Raiders' splinter force advanced. Or perhaps he simply had misplaced confidence in his undead honor guard. And I mean, let's be honest. I suppose if I were a bad guy, I'd also want to throw everything I had at trying to stop Rax from getting to me. Oh, boo. But perhaps finally realizing his immediate mortal peril, the Necromancer set his sights to more immediate concerns. Flail-wielding fiend set to unnatural frenzy. Only for Verlin to drive it back to buy himself a brief respite. For all the good it'll do him. And the rest of the Raiders, now realizing they no longer hold that hideous huckster's eye, hasten their own efforts as well. Oof, goodness. With Verlin taking an unfortunate strike across the side. Badly bruised, but thankfully unbroken. Yeah, the pushback, I think, saved us one swing. Otherwise, it would have gotten two. And Zarmal finally made his move. Rondel ramming deep between Reanimator's ribs. Balance spent. We do have the sling staff for backup, but we can only actually access it if we either put something on the ground or burn a consumable, which obviously in the current fight isn't really worth it. I mean, I suppose the smoke grenades might be a bit superfluous. Those might not necessarily deserve a slot. I just, we've got them. I kind of want to use them. Or at least make an effort towards using them. Same with the fire pots, really. One last gasp. A gaggle of gangly grotesques rising one last time as the necromancer finds himself run through. But the raiders are none too worried. They're more than a match for most living men, let alone those inept enough to let themselves die at least once already. And so it goes. The last few foes, deftly dismembered. Bones broken, but never a sweat. If anything, this has become unsettlingly routine. And thus, charnel carnage ensued. Flails out. That was our last real threat. Oh, yep, that'll do it. Thanks, Rax. I can always count on you to bring things to a head. That is kind of the problem with these fights, though. I don't mind fighting the undead. It just all gets kind of the samey after a while. There's only so many things you can say before the constant rise and fall of the same set of corpses begins to run thin. But thankfully, we do seem to be done. And with the final few strikes, the cemetery finally falls silent. The restless dead rest once more, the raiders still among the living. They quickly roll the corpses, gathering up what scant goods the undead have to offer. Sadly not much, but the raiders take what they can get. And then continue on their way. Slightly the wiser for the wilderness encounter, as a few anatomists linger behind to discuss the pros and cons of reanimating corpses in colder climes. All right. We're out of space and out of tools, so let's get ourselves back to Damwald. We'll get this quest turned in, and then I think we've got time for one more. Oh, okay, well, spoke too soon. You know, I'm going to say that's probably not where we're going to find a famed weapon, but why take the chance? Might as well go in. Though Rax, of course, will be overkill, so we'll have him hang back. And on the final stretch towards Damwald, the raiders spied one last barbarian village. Barely more than a hunting camp, really. The raiders were almost apt to pass it by, if not for the drunken ramblings of a man they'd met in passing. Would his slurred words pay off? Would the promise of some grand prize be realized? Probably not, but the raiders had already killed plenty. What were a dozen more lives for the chance at some worthy loot? And thus began perhaps the saddest and shortest fight of the day. The throng of thralls thrusting forth, unwittingly expediting their own demise, not realizing the certain doom. They sprinted toward, though if there were ever any doubts, they were swiftly dispelled. The crunch of a flail caving in a cur's rib cage. Pained howl abruptly aborted as Rook ran the ribless ruffian through. Seymore snapped another shin. Setris finishing him as he fell. Trip caught one in the side. Tommy tore down another. And up north, two more, marked off the map. Arrow angled through a throat. The errant runt fighting back, if even just for a fleeting second, before exsanguination took its toll. Sarmal caught another, with full-throated reprisal. Trip finishing a foe, pushing through center. Rassle and Russell, double-teaming another dastard on south. A blistering blast and pelt-clad pugilist, all but evaporated. Javelin jabbing through yet another's gut. Arrow ending his short-lived pain. Rook, the one beside himself. And then it was done. There was but one. Hobbled. Hopeless. And finally, undone. Yeah, we were under no pretense that was going to be a tough one. Sadly, no famed weapon, but we had to at least check. And we did pull multiple legacy levels, so well worth our time. Considering it was only like, what, 6 minutes? Something thereabouts. Let's go ahead and get these level up squared, and then we'll dash back to Damwald. Figure things out from there. Though, you know, as always, legacy levels, no big deal. Pretty straightforward. Tommy is our melee thrower, so straight down the line there. And Random is just a straight up backline brawler. So again, pretty much straight down the line, just sans range. With Mark's perk still in reserve. Still undecided on what we're doing with that one. You find Malafnoy sitting by himself outside the camp. As the jeers and cheers of the men around the campfire crackle behind you, you approach the man and ask what he's sulking for. He shrugs. No sulkin', sir. Just thinking. Though I suppose one could be easily mistaken for the other. Chuckling, he offers a bit of his drink, which you take. Settling down beside him, you ask what he is thinking about. The disowned nobleman shrugs again. Nothing really. Just thinking about home. I'm a long ways away from it now, and the last I remember of it isn't exactly the best. Yet I still find myself wishing to be there now and again. Homesick for a land that thinks me a sort of noble sickness. Go figure. You hand him back his drink, as he probably needs it more than you. While you're still clear-headed, you try and speak your mind. Look, Mal, there's nothing wrong with pining for times long past. You don't want to end up getting stuck there is all. You've got to live here, clear-headed in the present. Remember what was. Be wistful about it even, but just never let that stop you from moving forward. You clap the man on his shoulder and speak. Hey, thinking of the gold is good for the soul, even if it's through a thicket of shit and cruelty and evil and all else that makes any man stay up at night. But it's only good for a time. You look at the past, you acknowledge it, and then you move on. You have to be sure to only visit the past, not dwell in it. Everyone here has a past, Mal, and in that respect, you will never be alone. The disowned nobleman stares at the ground for a time. He slowly starts to nod. Yeah, that's right. I guess a part of me was worried that I was genuinely wanting to return there. I was picturing it with a hearth alight, smoke out of the chimney, soft candlelight beyond the windows, and my family there, awaiting me. I was ignoring the locked door, the guard dog squatted outside, and those I loved telling me to never come back, lest it's in a box to bury far beneath the earth. I wasn't thinking of my past so much as dreaming of it. And I think you've helped me realize that, Captain. Thank you. I know that one day I shan't have to dream about the Retcon Raiders, but instead, remember it clearly and fondly. Hey, let's hope. Any raider who lives long enough to retire has well and truly earned it. But more importantly, +1 resolve, and that gets us one step closer to Mal's ultimate event. Which is, of course, why I do like to have a good amount of variety amongst our ranks. You know, if you ask any of the experts, they'll generally push you towards sellswords only, with a few rare exceptions, since sellswords tend to have the best stat lines. But I like the varied events. I like each character having their own sort of mini-narrative. Though some occupations obviously lend themselves better towards it than others. Gebbard the Wise is found giving a speech to a crowd of peasants. He describes an unnamed force of southerners that headed north and annihilated the savage scum. At no point are you or the RetconRaiders named. When he's done, the mob of peons cheers and clap, and flowers are thrown and a general state of festivity takes over. Gebbard the Wise seeks you out and shakes your hand while pushing a chest of crowns toward you. I wish I could call you a hero to these fine folks, but mercenaries are not always seen in the best of light. You wrap your hands around the payment and lean forward. All I want's the pay. You have fun out there, Gebbard the Wise. Which, honestly, I can't really blame him for. As aforementioned, these northern settlements do kind of hate us right now. We're not super popular after we turned our back on them during the Noble War, but we'll come around. Negative reputation fades with time. Expedited, of course, if you take more active measures. Speaking of which, we're stuck here till dawn anyway. Let's get a gander at the other contract on tap. A man walks up to you and holds a scroll halfway between he and you. My name is Karl, representative of Ragnar the Counselor, and speaking on behalf of the good people of Damwald. We seek your services, mercenary. You find Ragnar the Counselor soon after, talking to a druidic monk cloaked in shapes more familiar to beasts than man. Horns for a helmet, bear skin for armor, and the hooves of deer clattering around his chest in a brutish necklace. He's quite the sight. Seeing you, Ragnar the Counselor waves you in. Sellsword, it's good to see you. The druid pushes the man out of the way mid-talk. He speaks with a wobble in his voice as though he was speaking from the depths of a cavern. A mercenary? Ha! Surely you are a man of faith, no? We of Damwald have lost the shroud of the founder. This relic is of great import to us, for through it we can speak to the old gods and have our prayers answered. It's been stolen away in some manner or another to the crypt of Jelfargo. Go there and retrieve it. You glance at Ragnar the Counselor, who nods. Aye, what he said. Sure, why not? Sounds simple enough. That's a basic ancient undead contract. But who knows? Maybe we'll luck out. Finally encounter our first fallen priest. Ah, right there, up in the mountains. Yeah, we can do that. That'll actually give us an excuse to fill in that last chunk of fog of war there. And then beyond that, probably out east, through the Glenmore Barrows. We essentially just want to walk the tundra back and forth in search of our elusive Ijirok. That's it. We'll hit the pause button for now. I will wait till dawn, take care of our usual off-screen bookkeeping, and we will pick up here next time, as the hunt begins in earnest. Though, we've also got a few other things we have to take care of whilst we're out and about. Fallen Priest, Shrot, Lindworm, and Hex. We'll get it all done. See you then. Oh, and special thanks to the Raiders, the fine folks who help make these videos possible, including but not limited to Eerie V23, Revenant, Alois, Bowman, Drakiith, EgonAlter, Exsellsior, Gottlieb, James Trimmier, Lady Shayna, Mark Giemza, RandomPassrby, RobbyB, Triphoppenskip, and Valinrook. Thanks for your support, guys. That said, if you'd also like to help support the channel, then feel free to push the buttons that do the things. Trust me, it does make a difference. Or you could even check out the PayPal, the Patreon, the Nexus GG, or the YouTube memberships. Links are in the description.